What's up, everyone? Bales here with another free college football pick, this time for the Stanford versus USC game. It will take place on Saturday, September 11th at 10:30 p.m., and I believe it plays on Fox. If you're new to these videos, I will outline my favorite college football pick or bet for the week. We started off last week with a push, had Ohio State minus 14. I know there were, I believe, at least one book where you could get minus 13.5 if you paid a little extra juice. So hopefully some of you guys got that and picked up the win. Officially, we pushed the Thursday night game with Ohio State minus 14 against Minnesota. I then went on to have a 4-3-1 week for all 8 of my bets, up about a unit. The weird thing that ended up happening was I posted the Ohio State one on YouTube. I then posted North Carolina and Georgia State on Twitter. That was a push and 2 losses. Outside of that, Appalachian State, Iowa, Marshall, and USC I took last week all hit. And then we lost in a game where BYU didn't really seem to be able to avoid the injury bug. So if you looked at all of these, USC was the article that I wrote for betkarma.com. We have plenty of tools over there. I highly recommend visiting the site. Again, betkarma.com. And that was the article that I wrote for them. I thought that they were about a touchdown shy on the spread. Once again, I think that they're very short, and Vegas isn't really respecting USC at this point in a matchup against Stanford. But we will dive deep into that throughout this video. I do want to say you can get all of my bets for the entire college football season free at chatdfs.com. That is the Bet Karma and DFS Karma Discord chat. It's just chatdfs.com. I will be posting all of my stuff in there for free. But for now, we can get to the video pick. I don't want to keep you guys, bore you guys anymore with a little bit of intro here. So this video is sponsored by PointsBet. You can use the code in the description to get some risk-free bets. I would highly recommend it. That's where I'm getting the odds from specifically for the Stanford USC game. Currently, it is USC minus 17. There is a little bit of extra juice at minus 115 on the minus 117 for USC. I have no problems paying that because I think that this line is at least a touchdown shy. Just starting it out with some trends. Last week, obviously, was opening week. Stanford lost by 17 to Kansas State. They were plus 3 underdogs going into that game, so Vegas obviously overvalued them quite a bit. On the other side, USC beat San Jose State, who was kind of a darling for a lot of people after a really solid year last year. By 23, the spread was right around 14. Once again, that was one of my top plays. I absolutely loved that bet. It gave us a little bit of a scare early on in the game because USC's offense really didn't do all that much, but ended up winning pretty comfortably by 23 without much issue. Dating back to 2020, Stanford was the better team against the spread. They went 3-2-1. USC went 3-3. The difference is that Stanford, their average margin of victory was negative 2.3. Essentially, they lost games. The average game they lost by 2.3 points, whereas USC's average margin of victory was 7.3. On the road, USC was about similar. They went 3-1-1 against the spread and a negative 2.2 average margin of victory, whereas USC didn't perform overly well at home, where they were 1-2, winning games by 6.3 points. Breaking down this game, it's going to be a lot of the same when you bet big games. The one major factor is who can control the tempo. When you look at plays per game in 2020, USC ranked 19th, Stanford ranked 68th. Now, USC dropped a little bit in 2021. That more or less has to do with the fact that they were winning by so much that they didn't really have to, put the pedal to the metal or anything, hit the gas. However you want to say it, they didn't have to do that. And Stanford got blown out by Kansas State, so that game was kind of slow at the end as well. But if USC is able to control the pace, which I believe that they will, they're more or less going to have plenty of opportunities to score, that they'll be able to cover a 3-score spread. You obviously need 2 touchdowns and a field goal to tie it. I believe that they should be able to cover that and relatively easily this week. I'm very high on USC throughout the season. I think that they're going to be just an absolute terror, especially for Pac-12 teams. So if you want to look at the entire game overall, and you can ask yourself, where exactly is Stanford better? And in this situation, I'm talking specifically positional groups. I don't mean individual positions. I mean more or less offensive line, defensive line, secondary, just all of the groups combined. Wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks are all on their own. I'm not lumping them into skill positions. And you can look at it and say potentially running back, maybe. At worst, though, it's likely a wash, and USC doesn't truly use their running backs all that often, so it doesn't matter that much. I do believe it's very reasonable to believe that USC actually has the edge at every single position group on offense, defense, and special teams, which it just doesn't happen all that often, and just kind of shows where Stanford's at a program at this point. So I guess the big question then would be, is there any way that Stanford would have a chance to keep this game close against USC? And I think that there's kind of one situation where you're going to keep the game close with a team that's obviously worse than USC, and they need to put pressure on the quarterback. USC, I keep messing that up a little bit. USC's offensive line currently coming into the season ranked as Phil Steele's 51st group in the entire NCAA. Now, it's not that bad, but at the same time, when you're looking at these top programs, obviously when you play a team, against like Georgia or something, it's definitely a weakness. The big issue is that Stanford's defensive line doesn't even rank in the top 59 groups for Phil Steele. And when you look at what San Jose State did last week, they couldn't stop USC, and they rank 14th in that, basically able to get pressure. I think that this is going to be a much easier game for Slovis, who didn't really look great last week, but showed some flashes quite a bit. And I feel like he's going to get more comfortable as the season goes. The big thing, I guess, that you would have to look at is that USC does have one of the best quarterback to wide receiver pairings in the entire NCAA. And they put a major focus on the passing attack, which is more or less going to give them a massive edge against Stanford's secondary. Once again, we'll just head back to the college football king, Phil Steele. Stanford, their secondary ranks out of the top 64 of his groups prior to the season starting. So I just don't really see where Stanford is going to keep this game close if they can't put pressure on USC's offense, and they obviously aren't going to be able to stop the passing attack. What really are they going to do to keep this game close? Because once this game turns into a shootout, Stanford doesn't have the offensive firepower to keep it close at that point. What they realistically need to do is focus on really shortening the game, using their rushing attack, and I just wouldn't expect too much success there either. And when you look at the fact that USC can get out to an early lead in this game, what exactly at that point is Stanford going to do, right? They can't just lean heavily on their run as USC just goes down and scores at will. They're going to have to turn the game more or less into a shootout. They don't have the offense. They don't have the coaching. They have virtually nothing that suggests anything that they will be able to actually keep this game close in that type of a situation. The big question that we have to ask is just, can USC cover the 17 points? I think playing at home will probably help them. I believe, once again, that they just have the edge in all facets of the game. If that's going to continue to be the case, like, it just doesn't make sense to believe that Stanford is going to put up a decent amount of points. So if USC can indeed score 30 plus this week or something, it's very reasonable that they could beat them by 3 touchdowns. At that point, I do believe that Vegas is disrespecting USC a little bit. I feel like it's a similar spot to last week where, they were way too high on San Jose State. I feel like this game is roughly a touchdown shy again. And essentially that just makes USC my favorite bet for the second consecutive week. I'm hoping week 3 they kind of, I guess I actually would just like them to keep it where it is so I can keep making money on USC. But I would be shocked if USC comes out and looks the same way that they do here, if Vegas doesn't give them a little bit more respect the next time that they play. But overall, for this video, the bet is USC minus 17 at minus 115 odds on PointsBet. If you do it and like these videos, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. Follow our channel and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of our bets. We have NFL stuff coming out soon. With the season just starting, we'll keep doing these college football things. We have all kinds of DFS and everything going. So a lot going on the channel. You might want to turn on the notifications so you don't miss anything. Also, if you're still watching at this point, go ahead and drop your favorite bet in the comments. I would love to see what you guys are betting this week, so I can kind of look at that compared to my card. Once again, though, you can go in the description and find the risk-free bets for PointsBet if you just sign up and make an account there. But until then, good luck betting USC, and let's pick up another win.